Hi, and welcome to the DC Marvel Battlecast, where we discuss all things DC and Marvel related and debate who would win in versus battle matchups. I'm Marvelous Joe.
And I'm his twin brother, Johnny DC.
The song that you just heard at the beginning was The Man with the X-Ray Eyes by Black Canary from the Black Canary EP released by DC Comics.
Yeah, it's a comic book tie-in.
Yeah, and you can find, I think the EP was only 3 songs.
Yeah.
You can find it at blackcanary.bandcamp.com. You should definitely go check it out.
Well, yeah, the name of their like little mini EP album was EP1.
EP1?
Yeah. It's on blackcanary.bandcamp.com.
Do you think they'll come out with more songs until it's an album, or is it just...
No, I just think it was this fun thing. And the songs, like, it took me a while to really get into them because they're kind of shoegazer, but they're good songs. I like them a lot.
They're pretty good. I like them. They kind of reminds me of... have you ever heard of Sleigh Bells?
No. I don't know music, like, at all.
It's they did a song on the last episode of the Jessica Jones TV show. It was called Demons, I believe. It was a pretty badass song. Although I guess that was more rock. But yeah, I like the songs a lot, especially the one that we played, The Man with the X-Ray Eyes. The other ones were kind of a little too slow and kind of, I don't know.
It's clever marketing, I think.
Ethereal.
I've never actually seen this done before, and it ties into the first Black Canary graphic novel, which they're promoting perfectly right now, which we'll get into later because our Battlecast today is Black Canary versus Black Widow.
Yeah, that's gonna be a close one. Those of all the matchups that we've had so far. Batman, Moon Knight, Superman, Doctor Doom. I think Black Canary and Black Widow is probably going to be the closest match.
Yeah, they're... Just
from putting in the stats.
They're even more similar than Batman and Moon Knight were.
Yeah, I think so.
But, look forward to that later on. The song is also appropriate just because Black Canary was part of a female super team called the Birds of Prey. Another one of those team members was Barbara Gordon, a.k.a. Oracle, a.k.a. Batgirl. Yeah. So this wasn't officially released by the studio, but they Warner Brothers kind of goofed. For people who have seen the movie,
which movie?
Batman vs Superman. Yeah, they gave them this survey that. Was asking them questions like, what did you think of, essentially, how would you rate the actors in the film? Mm-hmm. And one of them they left in was Jenna Malone, which we know has been cut from the film. She'll appear in the rated R version. But
so they're showing people the rated R version?
No, but they left it in as part of the survey by mistake. So people were, taking screenshots of that. And there's different versions of it. Mm-hmm. So again, this hasn't been officially released, but the likelihood of it being true is she's pretty much Oracle, which is pretty cool.
I remember when they first announced her casting, I would have bet folding money that she was playing Carrie Kelly.
That's what my guess was too.
I think that would have been awesome. Just because it's a different way to portray Robin. Robin has never been, taken the most seriously out of all the superheroes. There's always a lot of jokes. So I figured that was kind of it made sense to me because it felt like that was the easiest way to kind of get around that kind of stigma that's attached to the character.
Well, it's all about continuity and when you started reading comics. I'm pretty confident in saying that probably most people's favorite Robin was Dick Grayson, but a lot of people love the idea of him kind of graduating out of that role into Nightwing. Mm-hmm. So once you take Dick Grayson out of the equation, what Robin are you left with? What Robins? People either like Tim Drake or people like Damian Wayne. I think doing Carrie Kelly is kind of a nice. She's someone that everyone loves. The Dark Knight Returns. And so putting her in there is kind of a nice way of I thought it would have been a nice way to appease fans who sort of have one Robin preference over another, I guess.
Yeah, I think it would have been cool, but
I'm equally as happy with her being Barbara Gordon.
Yeah, it'd be cool if they eventually do make a Birds of Prey movie or something.
My theory is that she's probably not going to be Oracle in the rated R version. My theory is that like they probably do a flashback with like the Joker. I mean, there's always there were rumors of like them having a scene with the Joker where he's beating Jason Todd to death, and maybe just like all the trauma that he's dealt to Bruce Wayne and Batman and those people close to him, and I go, really though, Joker's attack on Barbara wasn't an attack on Batman necessarily. It was an attack on Jim Gordon in The Killing Joke.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I figured the Joker is probably going to have a scene where he's beating Jason Todd to death, a scene where he's shooting Barbara Gordon in the spine, paralyzing her, that famous scene from The Killing Joke. So yeah. And speaking of Commissioner Gordon too, they recently announced, Warner Brothers recently announced that J.K. Simmons has been cast as Commissioner Gordon, which is awesome.
I think you'd make a good Commissioner Gordon. Not as good as a J. Jonah Jameson, but he'll make a good Commissioner Gordon. I'm kind of bummed because I think
he has a pretty broad range.
Popular opinion was that a lot of people wanted J.K. Simmons to come back in the role of J. Jonah Jameson for the new Spider-Man movie by Sony coming out. And now that's not going to happen, obviously. So that's a little bummer. But I think that's pretty good casting.
It's unbelievable casting. It just makes me... I can't wait for whenever they make the Batman movie. I mean, whatever it's called, if it's just called The Batman. Just like the Ben Affleck directed standalone Batman film. Think of how many Oscar winners you're going to have in there. You're going to have Ben Affleck, J.K. Simmons. You're going to have...
The Oscars mean nothing to me, so I'm not impressed.
You're going to have Jared Leto. You're going to have Jeremy Irons won an Oscar. Maybe Chris Terrio, if he goes back to write it. It's going to be a very high caliber film. It's going to be great. I'm sure expensive as well, but just when you have that level of talent, it has to be phenomenal.
Yeah, that budget's going to be almost as big as the $400 million by BVS.
That's not true.
How is Batman vs Superman doing?
Actually, it's has the second highest pre-sale record of all time after Star Wars. So, which is awesome. What was it? I forgot what the final number ended up being. A lot of the way they track pre-sale tickets is like in the first 24 hours, what percentage of the available seats, essentially of the available tickets, are sold. For Star Wars, they sold 75% in the first 24 hours.
Why do they track it that way? Why don't they just track it in terms of dollars?
I don't know.
Because they would have a record of that.
I'm sure they do.
That's weird.
But yeah, so Star Wars has the highest number. I think it was 70. I think it was around 75%. Third place goes to Jurassic Park, which had 50%. Fourth place was, I believe, Avengers: Age of Ultron. I mean, and Civil War tickets have gone on sale, and I'm not actually sure how that did. I know it didn't do as good as BVS. But Batman v Superman did close to 60%, I believe. So it's doing really well.
Do you think it'll break 200 million opening weekend? Under?
I think it's going to get close to 200 million.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of film industry commenters are now changing their prediction to.
Yeah, because it used to be like 130 or something.
It was between 100 and 140, essentially.
So it should be Deadpool, at least.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it'll be Deadpool.
If it doesn't, I will laugh. I will definitely mention it on the next podcast.
It should beat Deadpool. It's the two biggest superhero icons in the world.
Yeah, but that doesn't. Just because they're icons, it doesn't equal box office revenue.
It's familiarity.
Otherwise, Man of Steel would have done way better than it did.
Familiarity brings a lot to the table, though. I mean that's one of the reasons I think Marvel does so well is because people are familiar with that Marvel brand. People are familiar with Batman. Those movies have always been successful.
DC doesn't really have a cinematic brand right now, though.
No, but we have the familiarity of our characters.
Well,
people didn't go see Man of Steel because of the bad taste of Superman Returns. But when you bring Batman into the mix, Batman has always sold well. So,
yeah, I guess that's true. What about the familiarity of Sandman? I heard that movie got delayed.
Well, I mean, there was no official start date. You could say it was delayed. You could say that it's still in development. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who was attached to definitely direct and possibly star, or I think he announced that he was going to star the day he announced that he was departing the project. He's departing the project. So
I can't imagine him as Sandman. I don't know why. Can you? It's weird because I always imagined him as Nightwing, and I was really pumped when he was in The Dark Knight Rises. I kind of hoped that they would have done something with that. In my mind, I'm still kind of hoping that he's gonna be Nightwing somehow, somewhere down the line.
No, I don't think that would ever happen.
No,
just because of The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah,
but he has a pretty broad range. I couldn't, if you give him some 80s hair, dark, long
Flock
hair.
of Seagull's hair.
The
Cure hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see him as Dream. You know who I really saw, though, was probably, Tom Hiddleston.
Oh, he would be fantastic.
He would be a great Dream.
He's almost the new Johnny Depp. And I say that because, did you ever see Crimson Peak? It was the new...
I saw the trailer for it, though.
The Guillermo del Toro movie?
Right.
That was very much... It was such kind of the spiritual successor to Sleepy Hollow by Tim Burton with Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
I almost consider them companion pieces because they're they have a very similar setting and kind of just really creepy kind of feel. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. I think Tom Hiddleston would be great because his character kind of reminded me of if this movie were made in the early 90s, it would totally be Johnny Depp in the role.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
The great thing about Sandman too is that I know Tom Hiddleston is Loki. He'll probably be Loki for a while, maybe.
Probably. Yeah.
But Sandman is so. It's part of the DC universe just because in the comic, Sandman, aka Dream, aka Morpheus, interacted with some of the characters.
Yeah.
Like Martian Manhunter, like the Scarecrow, Dr. Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
But he's kind of if anyone's not familiar with Sandman, it was a comic written in the 90s by Neil Gaiman.
Mm-hmm.
And it was basically just about these gods, essentially, these just sort of abstract concepts. The primary character, his name was Dream, and he was basically the embodiment of thought, essentially, creativity. And so his stories were really way far out there, and you could do almost anything with him.
Yeah, I almost think it would make a better series because of that fact.
Oh, absolutely.
Then, a movie, you have to kind of constrain yourself within one plot arc. With a series, you could have a new arc, each episode.
Yeah, no. Anytime, there's this big new, comic book film announcement, I always tell Barbara, my wife, don't let me die until this comes out. If they ever did, an announcement for a Sandman TV show, oh my gosh, yeah, totally. I would just go into, hibernation. Oh, speaking of Johnny Depp, you just made me realize Tim Burton would direct the most unbelievably good version of Sandman.
Or Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, or him. I don't know.
I think Guillermo del Toro would be better because he's just as dark as Tim Burton, but he's even more mature, I think. Because like it would be hard to imagine Tim Burton directing like Blade 2 type thing. But Guillermo could do everything Tim Burton can do and more, I think.
That's probably true. Plus, Tim Burton would probably try and change it to suit his own story.
Like Superman Lives or whatever.
Yeah.
Didn't Guillermo del Toro, wasn't he attached to direct Justice League Dark? Is that still in development?
Yes. Yep.
With like Deadman and Constantine and...
Yeah, that's another big one. Ever since he mentioned that he was writing it, that's one I'm looking forward to a lot, just to see Constantine on film again, done. I mean, I don't want to say done right because I actually liked the Keanu Reeves Constantine film.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
But just more like the comics, I guess, more like the Hellblazer character.
Yeah, my wife loves the Constantine movie,
and the TV show was great too.
TV show is really good. Yeah, I was kind of bummed. Well, it kind of got kind of it kind of suffered from the same issues that kind of like the Daredevil show did, I think, where they were trying to spread out too much story among too many episodes, or too little story among too many episodes. So you kind of wanted to keep getting back to the arc that was introduced in the first episode of Constantine, I think, and they kept going off like on different tangents and some of the actors annoyed me and stuff, but it was a good show. Has he showed up in Legends of Tomorrow yet?
Constantine?
Yeah.
The actor? No, he was in Arrow.
Arrow, that's
earlier. Yeah. Which was a nice cameo. It's so hard to say goodbye to Matt Reeves, the actor who played Constantine as Constantine, because he was spot on perfect. Yeah. If they do a Justice League Dark movie, they'll probably go for like some big name actor like Ewan McGregor or something like that, which would be fine.
Yeah, he would be good.
Yeah, he would be good. But I'm gonna miss that Constantine.
Well, hopefully he like joins the Legends of Tomorrow team down the line or something.
Hopefully
they have that option.
They need a magic user on that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be a pretty cool way to use them. Hopefully Justice League Dark comes out. You know what's not coming out this year?
Gambit.
And who called it? I think you called it.
Yeah, I think everyone called it.
Yeah, it was definitely not. It was originally scheduled. Fox had it scheduled for October 7th, 2016 this year. I think in our very first episode, as we were going down the slate of movies, we mentioned that it probably was not going to get released this year because it doesn't. Haven't started filming. They have a director and a star and a romantic lead, but that's about it.
That's right. Yeah.
So it was pushed back. They haven't said to where yet, although Fox did announce 2 untitled Marvel films, one of them being pretty much the same date next year, 2017, October 6th, 2017, and another one on January 12th, 2018. So,
do you think either of those will be Gambit?
My guess is that... Well, okay, so Wolverine 3 is scheduled for March 3rd, 2017, about a year from now. And that's it seems kind of behind in production. If I had to guess, I bet you Gambit might take that March 3rd spot. Or if it sticks with...
Wolverine's March 3rd.
If Wolverine 3 sticks with March 3rd, then I bet you Gambit's going to be released on that October 6th, 27th date. Mm-hmm. As far as the January 12th, 2018, I can only guess Deadpool. That would be my guess.
Deadpool 2?
Deadpool 2.
Or X-Force?
Or X-Force, yeah.
I wonder what they're going to do with that. Do you stick with Deadpool, which, has done so well, or do you sort of put him in a team dynamic? Oof.
I think they'll put him in a team dynamic. He certainly can join the current iteration of X-Men because those actors are so young. And
it's still, in the past. What is it now?
It's in the 1980s. Yeah. So, and Deadpool takes place in the current time. So I figured the only way they can have Deadpool meet up with this current generation of actors is to bring them from the past into the present.
I didn't even realize
Like,
that.
just skip over the 90s or
super
something.
tricky.
Yeah, they really screwed themselves over.
They did. Wow. Wow.
They kind of made their own continuity gaffe, and they're going to have to pull, like, a Crisis on Infinite Earths or something. But
well, I mean, they brought the original X-Men team from the comics into the future.
Right. Yeah,
I wonder if
X-Factor.
They can totally do that.
Yeah, and maybe that's what they'll call it. They'll bring all those younger actors. They'll just skip over the 90s or something. And did you hear my phone?
Yeah.
It's just vibrated. I don't know if you could hear it or not. They'll probably skip over the 90s maybe and just bring them right into, like 30 years into the future and into the present
and
time
the 2000s.
With Deadpool and the 2000s, yeah. I don't know what they're going to do. But I mean, going back to the release dates, I bet you they've got to be thinking about working on a Deadpool movie sometime soon. So I bet you it'll take place in January 2018. And I bet you it'll be with the team. They already said that Cable's going to be in it, so...
Yeah.
So, I also remember that the Fantastic Four movie, the sequel to the Fantastic Four reboot, that was originally slated for July 14th, 2017, so middle of next summer. So I wonder if they'll move Gambit or Wolverine to that date.
Probably. There's so many... Sometimes I just can't believe like how far in advance they're planning these films.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at Marvel's slate, you look at DC's slate, Justice League, and then part 1 and part 2.
We're gonna be old men by the time Green Lantern comes out.
I know. Yeah, they announced that Green Lantern may not be appearing until Justice League 2 at like the earliest. Like he may not even appear in Justice League in 2. It may be because Justice League right now I think is slated, Justice League Part 2 at least is slated for 2019. And then the Green Lantern movie was slated for 2020. I think that's right. The Green Lantern Corps movie. What am I saying? Did I say Green Lantern Corps? Green Lantern Corps is slated for 2020.
Yeah.
Justice League Part 2 for 2019. Which I heard rumors that there was a cameo of Green Lantern, of Hal Jordan, in Batman v Superman. So to hear that it's still going to be, like almost half a decade before we actually get to see another film version of him kills me. Why?
Yeah,
why are they doing that? Don't do that.
Yeah, well, because really you want to see like the big DC 7.
You want to see the Magnificent Seven, on screen at the same time.
Right.
Which I don't know. I don't know if we were ever gonna see that in Batman v Superman, just because like they sort of leaked like what the Flash's cameo is.
Oh, they did.
Have you heard about that?
I haven't heard about that.
I don't know if I'll say. Well, okay. Here's a spoiler. Okay, so jump ahead like 2 minutes or 2-3 minutes.
2 minutes.
If you don't want to hear this, it won't take long.
Okay.
All right, and jump. Okay, so his cameo is he appears in Batman's Nightmare sequence. He appears to warn Batman. So it's sort of like...
So Flash can go into dreams?
Well, no, I think it's sort of ambiguous as to whether or not it is a dream or if like the Flash takes him into the future to show him what the future is going to be like if Superman takes over or something like that.
Why would Superman take over?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Wait, so is this a rumor or is this confirmed, this cameo?
This is confirmed.
By whom?
People who have seen the film.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's so hard to stay off the internet and not read these things. So I don't have the willpower.
I don't do it anymore. I completely spoiled myself on the first Avengers movie, and I knew everything that was going to happen, including up to like all the good parts that everybody had such a good reaction to, like when the Hulk like said puny god and everything like that. I already knew that was coming because I read every little thing that I could about the movie, and so I was not surprised. It was like I was watching it for the second time when I watched it the first time.
But I mean, it's still enjoyable. The thing with spoilers for me is I'm still able to enjoy the film when everyone cries foul for showing Doomsday or now even with Spider-Man, which we'll get to later. I don't care. I'll still enjoy the film.
I think there's something to be said for letting the surprises happen when they're meant to happen, though.
Yeah.
And I purposefully stayed away from all spoilers for the second Avengers movie. And...
But even like that Flash, it's okay if you're here from the when I said to jump ahead because I'm not going to mention what it is again. But even me telling you about that, does that ruin the film for you? Do you think it will?
Yes.
No, it won't.
I don't know. Maybe I still don't believe it. I don't think I have trouble. I hope they don't write themselves into a corner, because that kind of scenario seems like you might write yourself into a corner with that.
I have faith in Chris Terrio. There was an article recently done by the Wall Street Journal where they interviewed him, and the guy, he's a great speaker, and he really sounds like he knows. He did a ton of research for these films, and he's really trying to. He was saying about like how he wasn't sure he was going to do Justice League until he went on set and he saw Jesse Eisenberg do a scene with Holly Hunter, and he was like really moved by it, I guess he was saying.
Huh. Was it a love scene?
No. I was just so moved by their lovemaking, you just had to keep writing these characters. But no, he said it felt like this really like indie cool film, and he was like, I have to keep writing these characters. Which is cool. The things he said in that Wall Street Journal article, which I haven't read the entirety of because it's behind a freaking paywall, which sucks. But I've read snippets, and I want to read the whole thing. But it seems like a really good article. They interviewed Chris Terrio and Charles Roven and Ben Affleck. Some interesting, just sort of like inside information about the whole DC cinematic universe in general, not just Batman v Superman. Came out through the article, and it was pretty cool.
Cool.
So if you do have that, if you are a subscriber to the Wall Street Journal,
send us that article.
Email us that shit because I want to read it.
Another movie that's in development that we heard this week is Venom.
Right, but
the big thing about that is that it will be unrelated to the new Spider-Man.
I remember when because I heard this information first, this news first, and I chatted it to you, or I texted it to you. Yeah. And I just remember your reaction.
I forgot what it was. I was just like, bullshit or something.
You're like, no!
No. It doesn't make sense why Venom is such... he's a good character, and while you could, I guess... I imagine that if they're making it unrelated to Spider-Man, they're going with the new Flash Thompson Agent Venom route.
But even then, do you do Flash Thompson? Because he's related to Spider-Man. They're probably going to use... Because Spider-Man's still in high school.
Right, so they're probably going to have Flash Thompson in the new movie. It's kind of ridiculous. Not going to be related
to Spider-Man.
Right. So
it probably can't... how do you explain his look without Spider-Man?
Maybe it'll be Eddie Brock or something as the agent, which would be stupid. I think...
It can't be related to... It's not related to Spider-Man. I think it's going to be original character. I think
it can't be an original character.
This is going to be...
Fans will write.
This is going to be Marvel/Sony's version of Catwoman.
Oh, like Catwoman in name only?
Right. With Halle Berry.
So, but see, when you just have that, then it's just a guy with like an alien symbiote who's just like kind of like Spawn or something.
Which in itself is not a terrible concept. It's an interesting concept, but it's not Venom.
You're ruining the potential for the character in future Spider-Man movies, I think.
Well, yeah. I've heard people say, some insiders say that they're speculating the only reason that this is even happening, which makes sense to me, is because Marvel has probably, said like, we're not interested in Venom, like anytime in the near future. So, Sony's probably like, well, we have this great character in our stable. We might as well do something with it, make money off of it somehow. But it's like...
Stupid Sony.
They're really stupid. I don't understand.
Stupidest studios. Like, if you did you read any of those leaked emails?
I've seen.
I saw so many just bullshit emails. Like, they have no idea what the fuck they're doing. It pisses me off sometimes. I'm hoping this will turn into a case where, fans bitch about it so much that it ends up just getting pulled.
That's what needs to happen.
That's what needs to happen.
If you're listening to this,
bitch about it.
Bitch about it. Be the bitchiest bitch on the whole bitchy planet.
Be the biggest bitch that you know.
Boss bitch.
Be the
hashtag boss bitch.
Be the head bitch in charge.
We have to complain. We have to, if we want.
It makes no sense. You want to save the character, even if they have no immediate plans with him in the future. Eventually, they will. I mean, now I can't remember who's playing Spider-Man. What's his name?
Tom
Holland. You know, he's a young kid. He's probably in it for the long haul. We're gonna see him grow from a Spider boy to a Spider-Man. I'm assuming. So I mean, use that potential, save that character, for future movies. Well, you know, and make it when people have already long forgotten the Topher Grace Spider-Man 3 version.
Yeah.
Because there is a good story to tell there. So.
How long do you wait? I mean, do you wait Green Lantern long? Or
no, 10 years is fine. Spider-Man 3 came out in 2007, so if they wanted to, even if they threw Venom in the next
holy cow,
movie.
I didn't realize it was that far.
Yeah, times go by quick, man. But even next year, I think that's fine. It's a whole decade past. So, yeah. Just, when did I talk about fan bitching? It was like our second or third episode.
Yeah.
And it does make a difference.
Totally.
Yeah. That's how we got Apocalypse.
It's how we got Apocalypse.
To not look like Ivan Ooze.
It's how we got Deadpool.
It's how we got the movie Deadpool made. So, yeah, go out there.
And even to an extent, like Batman v Superman. Like, just, you know, addressing the whole, like, this mass destruction issue. You know?
I don't think that could ever be fixed. Unless Superman flies around the world and goes back in time. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it's addressed in Batman vs Superman. But I have a hard. I don't see how he could redeem himself. I don't know.
Well, okay. So the new Civil War trailer came out, and right from the beginning of the trailer, they talk about, you know, the destruction that has been wrought in the past Marvel Cinematic films.
Mm-hmm.
They could be redeemed, but Man of Steel can't.
They can be
Superman
redeemed
can't.
because they didn't show an apparent lack of regard for human life like Superman did.
It was his first battle. And actually, there's been a few interviews. I forget who did the interview. Who did it? With Henry Cavill. And he was just talking about that and how this film is sort of a response to that. And, I mean, when the guy talks about Superman, it just makes you really appreciate him as the character. He really understands the character, and it's interesting to hear his approach. When he was explaining the destruction, you know, he was basically agreeing that, you know, he was an amateur, which sort of makes the fight against Batman and Batman v Superman more interesting, because he was saying, you know, he's an amateur going up against someone very well versed in the art of war. And that's why when people say that Superman should always be able to beat Batman, there's no way Batman should stand a chance. That was sort of his argument, saying, you know, Superman is still very much new in this universe. But
Superman would win. I still. Anyway, I've always been the advocate every time I read The Dark Knight Returns or something like that. What are you doing, Superman? Just freaking kill the guy. But he won't because he's Superman. Yeah. But I'm always never quite interested in seeing how those two fight, because I always think it should go another way. But
it is interesting to see that they are addressing consequences in film. Mm-hmm. I mean, not only with BVS but with the new Civil War trailer. Mm-hmm. You know, it was hard for the characters to even look at the past damage, which, I mean,
what
wasn't. If they can't handle those kind of consequences, they couldn't stand it. They couldn't handle the DC universe. DC universe is too much for them.
You know what's surprising? How many people do you think died in Zod's attack on Metropolis? It's no less than 5 million.
No, that's not. What?
That was a joke. If you had to put a number on it, how many people do you think died?
Actually, I think they gave a number for at least the Wayne Tower collapse. It was in the thousands.
So it was in the thousands.
Yeah.
Looking at the Civil War trailer, they did give the actual figures for each of those battles. Let's see. All right, so if you had to guess how many casualties were in the attack on New York, how many would you guess?
Marvel is so wussy. I mean, they're like, oh, our heroes have to save everyone. There can't be any consequences for this alien invasion.
It's because they're good heroes, unlike some people.
That's bullcrap.
How many people? What's your guess?
50.
How many casualties?
50.
Higher?
100.
Lower?
Are you shitting me?
74 people
That's
on the
bullshit.
attack of New York.
New York is a big-ass city, and there are a ton of the Leviathan monster going through building. Really? Marvel Universe.
74. You know why? Because they evacuated and they got people to safe ground. How many people do you think died in the Winter Soldier DC helicarrier crash?
None.
23. All right, and how many people do you think died in the Sokovia in Avengers 2?
Like 1, and that was Quicksilver.
I would have thought it would have been the fewest because, you know, they went out of their way to show how many people. 177 people. 177 casualties. So overall, it's like just a mere fraction of the people that died in Metropolis. I just thought that was kind of funny. So go Marvel Heroes. Am I right?
I'm looking up the current number for what the newspaper in the second Batman v Superman trailer showed the death toll as.
Oh. That was just one building. Thousands in one building.
Yeah, but, it was in the thousands. I forget the exact number.
Yeah. I can't
remember if it was just one building or if it was I think it was actually the entire ordeal.
It would have to be in the thousands. Just, I remember thinking, oh, thank God they've knocked down all the buildings. There's nothing left to knock down. And then all of a sudden, you know, like, they'll come from, like, or they go into outer space. I'm like, oh, thank God they're done knocking down buildings. They'll find space now. And then they found space, and then they crashed into the satellite, and then they brought the satellite down right back onto the exact same city. And the satellite knocked down, like, another 10 buildings. It was just nuts. Anyway.
Thousands of people die when stuff like this happens. I mean, look at 9/11. That was, I think, like 3,000?
Right. Yeah, and I think it's kind of weird that 9/11 had such a huge impact on society, you know, in real life, and in a movie where you have, you know, it's 9/11 times 1,000, and all that results from it is a Senate hearing with Superman.
It's a congressional hearing.
Yeah, but that's not legislation. That's just a hearing. I mean,
well, they need to start somewhere.
I guess. I don't know. Hopefully we'll see more along the line.
I'm sure we will.
In Civil War, we're actually seeing legislation and laws being passed to put these guys in check. We're not seeing laws being passed in Batman vs. Superman. At least
you don't know that.
I don't know that.
I don't know that.
But I'm going to assume that because that's what I do.
What did you think of the trailer?
Of the Civil War trailer?
Yeah.
It was okay, I think. It was not my favorite trailer.
Really?
No.
Because people are going just completely nuts over it.
It was not better than the last trailer. The first trailer was so good. I think it had to do with the music in this trailer. The first time I saw it, I was actually getting kind of bored.
It didn't really show that much new footage.
It didn't show that much new footage. The music was kind of somber, and it was just like a lot of just really serious sounding dialogue spoken just line by line by line. It was kind of monotone. The thing that I was really looking forward to, and I knew it was coming because Marvel had announced it the day prior, that they were going to show Spider-Man at the end of the trailer. That's what I was looking forward to. So by 2/3 of the way through, I'm like, okay, just get to Spider-Man already.
That's really interesting. Your take on the whole trailer, because just coworkers and stuff, they come to me and they're like, oh, what'd you think? It was so good. It was the greatest thing ever, wasn't it? No. It was so good. I'm like, yeah, it's Marvel.
Don't get me wrong. I think it had some amazing wow moments to it, but overall, I don't think the trailer was as cohesive as the last one. I think the last one,
which is really the first one.
The last one, the first one really clearly defined the themes, and I was excited to see it. And it had wow moments too, like at the end when
Captain Bucky
were taking Iron Man and stuff like that. This one had a few wow moments too.
This one had more wow moments, I would say.
With we got to see
it had more spectacle.
It did. We got to see Ant-Man on one of Hawkeye's arrows. which I knew was coming. I kind of wish they would have saved that for the movie, because I didn't want to see that now out of context and everything. But that was an incredible shot in the trailer. I watched that over and over again.
It did look fake. I was actually surprised how much from this film looked fake.
Well, I'm sure the effects aren't done yet.
Yeah. I think that, the standout for me, other than Spider-Man, I guess, is Black Panther.
Yeah, you get to see Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa. He's in one of those blasts at the beginning of the trailer.
Yeah. You think his father died right there?
Yeah, I think T'Chaka died right there.
He just became the new king.
Yeah, and I think that's why he's going after the Winter Soldier. See, what confuses me is occasionally you'll see in later shots, like when Iron Man hits Captain America and says, "You just started a war," there's this figure in a tube in the background. And it looks really similar to the container that Winter Soldier was being held in at the beginning of the trailer. So, and this is just speculation. I don't think this is a spoiler, but it makes me wonder, what do you think they cloned Bucky, and maybe it's a Bucky clone that's causing all this damage and stuff, and that's why they think he did it and why they're going after him and all that stuff?
Would they be able to do that?
I don't know. I don't know if they would go that science fiction-y with it.
That's interesting. I haven't heard that anyone speculate that yet.
No one speculated that. That's me speculating that. I think it would make sense for why they would suspect the Winter Soldier's doing all this stuff.
I have to admit, like, just watching the trailer, the Winter Soldier's a dick. I don't know if it's just like clever editing, like when he shoots down War Machine, it's like, oh, that guy's...
Well, he had a rifle. It was just kind of, that's the way it was cut. We don't know wherever that energy beam came out. Where that came from, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it was someone on Team Cap.
It almost looks like one of Vision's blasts. Really? I wonder if Scarlet Witch... Again, we don't know anything about this movie. This is just...
You think she hijacks him?
Yeah, I wonder if she mentally manipulates him.
She hijacks him into loving her?
Because we know that she can read his mind, because she read his mind in Avengers Age of Ultron. Back when he had Ultron's mind, and she saw that he was going to cause like damage and destruction, and that's when they eventually turned on Ultron. So we know that Vision has a mind to read. So maybe I'm wondering if she manipulates that somehow, because that would definitely turn the tide. There are not a lot of heavy hitters on Team Cap
who could go up against someone like Vision.
Yeah,
I was always wondering that. I was like, well, whose team is Vision on? Because that's the team that's gonna win.
Right, and when you combine that with War Machine and Iron Man, I think I can see it going that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going to the other big moments in the film, we saw the it looked like the raft coming out of the water. It's the supervillain prison. It looks like, instead of the negative zone, because they don't have the negative zone, nor do I think they have the rights to the negative zone. I think that's a Fantastic Four thing with Fox. But so instead of being in the negative zone, it looks like the prison is like deep in the middle of the ocean. And so that was pretty interesting.
What is that? Is that in the comic? Prison?
No, in the Civil War series, Mr. Fantastic created a prison in the negative zone to put people who violate the Superhero Registration Act.
Okay, yeah.
So, yeah, that was pretty cool to see. You know what else was cool to see in the trailer? Spider-Man. That's really what I was looking forward to, as I just said. And what did you think of him? I want to get your thoughts before I give my thoughts.
I didn't know he was actually going to be in the trailer. I didn't see the news saying that he was going to be in there.
Oh, no?
I wasn't, excited when he was there, but I just don't care about Spider-Man. He's only had, 2 good movies out of 5 movies. I don't know. I'm kind of over the character, really. And I think Iron Man has kind of supplanted him as, the main Marvel... flagship kind of character, sort of like what Superman is, or maybe Batman to DC. So what were my first reactions? The costume looked super CG.
It did, yeah.
I don't know how I feel about the costume. I feel like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man costume in the second one, Amazing Spider-Man 2, was better. Just because it had the really big eye lenses. Mm-hmm. I don't like the small spider on his chest. Mm-hmm. I didn't really care about like the sort of like the updates to the suit where it had like the blue like bands or stripes.
On the deltoids and on the elbows.
Yeah, I also wasn't a fan of his web shooters, the wrists, the bracelets. I
thought those looked pretty cool.
I keep going on and on about how much I did like those. I mean, those are just nitpicks. I'm glad he's in the movie. It's gonna be really cool to actually see. I think it's gonna be Marvel's Spider-Man. And just the voice, that was a perfect voice.
Really?
I thought so. I mean, it's young. It was kind of like borderline cocky, borderline like unsure. I thought it's a lot to read into one line, but I thought he nailed it.
Really, because I didn't get any hint of cockiness to it. I thought it was almost a Andrew Garfield kind of take, where it was almost kind of like a little shy, maybe like, "Here, everyone."
Maybe I just kind of got the implication of the cockiness just because like his squint at the end, maybe, which is so cool. Okay, the one thing I really did like about seeing Spider-Man is the way they interpreted his. They found a way to make his like eyes show emotion, grow big and grow smaller. But it wasn't. I thought they were probably going to go like the Deadpool route, where his eyes were essentially just CG. Mm-hmm. But they incorporated, something that makes sense with the story, some kind of tech, because you could hear like the whirring sound.
Yeah, because if you think about it, in Deadpool, that didn't make sense. The way his eyes moved with the mask.
No, it worked, and
it worked maybe because the tone of the movie was, it's not something that you thought about because he's kind of such a cartoony character and breaks the fourth wall. So you can't really nitpick it like that.
I honestly wonder though, like, I mean, in all the Batman films, they never really gave him lenses just because they want to be able to see his eyes so that he can emote. But I think even if you did the Deadpool route and something like that, it would still work. I don't think people would care if Batman's eyebrows moved. I think they would get over it. But I think you sort of avoid that controversy, whether they would care with what they did with Spider-Man.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. So here are my thoughts. I was super excited when I first saw the web. Uh-huh. I was like, oh, okay. Well, first of all, they nailed the web. I don't think they've ever got the web wrong, though. The look of the web looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's always...
After I watched that, in hindsight, so he does the superhero landing, the pose.
Deadpool would be proud.
He looks really sweet holding Captain America's shield, and I wonder, it's such a cool visual, and I wonder if it would be such a cool visual if he wasn't holding Cap's shield. I thought the costume looked fantastic. I was like, oh, that's exactly how he should look. It looks like
Spider-Man.
It looks like Marvel Spider-Man with a modern updated suit. But then of course I'm going back and playing that part over and over again. And the more I watched it, the more I kind of, obviously the CGI isn't finished, but I was kind of disappointed because the suit looked like rubber to me. It looked kind of balloony. And when you have a character like Spider-Man whose face is very bulbous, uh-huh. I think it's a weird choice to give him a rubber suit because it makes it look such like a balloon.
It looked flat.
It did look a little flat, and I think obviously the special effects aren't finished, so it'll look different in the final cut. I did download the super high res, and I maxed it out, and I got a really good close look at the suit, and actually to my surprise, what I first thought was rubber and no texture turns out that
there's texture.
It's not rubber. There's a lot of texture in there actually. The red portion of the costume it's almost like a denim. It looked like a red denim type of fabric, but thicker than like what's on your jeans. So that's pretty cool. And the blue parts, I thought those were flat too. But if you zoom in close enough, it's actually like a jersey type material, like a thick jersey, not like with all the holes, like one of those new Reebok hockey jerseys. If you're familiar with those, the ones that Reebok made 3 or 4 years ago. So yeah, it's like a jersey material and denim material. It's very fabricy. I think it looks pretty cool, and I hope that texture really stands out during the course of the film, because I think it's that texture that keeps it, it really from looking cartoony.
I don't think I realized how important texture was in a superhero suit until Man of Steel. I think it started with...
comparing Superman Returns and the Man of Steel costume.
Well, no.
Because Superman Returns didn't have any on the blue part.
It was all...
And it looks really flat and bland.
But I think it started with Sam Raimi's version of Spider-Man, because I really liked that costume. I liked the texture on it. I didn't understand why they had it. I had read articles that it was for it adds sort of a dimension to it. It makes it look a little bit more interesting if you add a texture to it. I didn't see that texture in the Civil War trailer on Spider-Man.
I think you'll see it in the movie.
I don't know if I saw the super high-res version. I had to take a really good close look to even see that there was texture even there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's sort of, and I thought that the black webbing was really, it wasn't as pronounced as it was in previous films.
It's thinner. It's a thinner, thinner line.
The Sam Raimi version, it was almost upraised.
It was, yeah.
But in this version, it's
a little inset almost kind of similar to how the Andrew Garfield suit was. I think that was inset as well. Although I didn't like his. If I'm ranking the Spider-Man costumes, I will put the first Amazing Spider-Man movie, that costume that he had there. The texture was cool. It kind of reminded me of a kind of like basketball, but the design of the Spider-Man outfit was horrendous. I hated every time I went to the store and I saw that stupid Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man with the stupid yellow eyes. I just wanted to break
a really weird choice. Yeah, I thought you were saying that was your number one ranked costume.
No, it's my...
You're starting from the bottom.
Yeah, starting from the bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, I hated that costume. You could ask my wife. I was pissed off every time I saw those stupid yellow eyes. I'm like, Spider-Man does not have yellow eyes. What the hell are you thinking? I love the eyes.
Fanboy bitching.
Fanboy bitching. Yeah, they changed it for the second one. I think if I have to pick the very best version of the Spider-Man costume in movies, it would be... The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he had the big eyes. It seems like they took a lot of the cues from Raimi's Spider-Man costume. They gave it that texture, and it was very the classic design, and the blue was a little bit darker, and yeah, I think it looked fantastic. And this suit that they have is much less the classic look. He has the external web shooters, which I actually kind of like the look of, but his belt is very much different, and his sleeves look a little bit different. They went much wider on the sleeves than they typically do. Well, on the red part on the sleeves, I should say, because Spider-Man always has the inside of his bicep area and inner forearm is always blue, and the outside is the red with the webbing.
Well, at the glove area, he does...
Right, and at the glove, it
becomes full red.
It's full red. So this one, they went much wider with the outside red web area. And it kind of reminds me of Captain America's suit, the way they did the sleeve design in the first Avengers movie. He had most of his sleeve was blue, and they had a small patch of white around the inner bicep area, and it looks like they're doing the same thing with this costume. So that's pretty interesting. I mean, that's not a nitpick. I think it's a good choice because it's different, and we haven't really seen it before. I guess if I have any gripe, it's probably the spider,
the symbol,
and
really small.
The belt, while functional. Because it looks like it holds his spare cartridges of webbing. Yeah. It is black.
That was my guess as well.
I'm guessing that this suit
It wasn't black, it was dark blue, wasn't it?
Was it dark blue?
I thought I saw dark blue.
I thought I saw black.
But then again, you saw a high-res version.
I did. It was black.
Really? Well, that's disappointing.
Yeah, it's black. But it's black containers over a red belt. So there's hints of red in between. Yes.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. So I think this suit is the one that's designed by Iron Man. I don't think we'll get a version of the Iron Spider that was in the Civil War comic, where he had kind of
Yeah.
Dr. Octopus spider legs coming out.
Which I have to say, I liked that suit. Oh,
it was a cool suit for.
You know, a suit I really.
It was
liked?
a temporary suit, so it was cool.
I really liked the Superior Spider-Man when Doc Ock took over.
Yeah.
Spider-Man. I loved that suit.
That was a fantastic suit. That was a fantastic story. I think.
But no, I mean, just going back to the suit in the trailer, yeah, it definitely had some tech with it. I'm definitely interested to see how much involvement Tony Stark had with helping Andrew Garfield. Because part of the appeal of Spider-Man is, you know, he's this kid with low on resources who survives by his wits, you know, sort of. So to have him, I don't know, his Marvel debut, you know, come out with some fancy tech suit. I don't know how. I'm kind of conflicted.
I'm sure that's not his first suit. I'm sure the first suit that he shows in the film is probably before Iron Man, you know, gets a hold of him and brings him onto his team. I'm betting his first suit is probably kind of like the concept art that we've seen. I don't know if it's fan art or concept art, but it's kind of like a hoodie with like goggles and stuff.
Yeah,
it looks pretty cool.
Right, I've seen that.
Yeah, I hope that's it because
I totally forgot about that. For some reason, I was thinking that, you know, when he says under ruse in the trailer, which was funny.
That was funny.
I was thinking that was probably going to be the first time we see Spider-Man in the film, not Peter Parker, but Spider-Man. Just because it seemed like some kind of like grand entrance kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Wonder how much involvement.
It would be too out of left field if he just kind of appeared. And there's not anybody who's not familiar with the character of Spider-Man, so I don't think people would be like, who the heck is this guy? But, I mean, if there ever was a person who wasn't familiar with Spider-Man, and they'd be like, what the heck just happened in this movie? Where did this guy come from? Who is he? What's going on? So it wouldn't quite make sense. So I'm pretty positive that's not the first time we see him. I'm pretty sure we will see him in the first incarnation of his homemade costume, and then it'll go from there. One last thing about the eyes. I have always been a huge fan of the thick black line around the eyes, like the Alex Ross style of eyes, as opposed to the really Todd McFarlane, the huge. Like I like big eyes, but I like the thick black line around the eyes. I never liked the really pencil thin around the white. They had that in the Sam Raimi films. They had that. Sam Raimi films was I feel like that's different. Those felt very much, you know, they were designed by Oakley. They felt very much like lenses. Yeah. In The Amazing Spider-Man, they felt less like lenses, and they had a little bit of texture to them as well. And those are good. But I think these will be my favorite eyes just because I really love the Alex Ross style of the eyes. I think you can express more with them, and I'm glad that they've taken that route because you'll be able to show emotion with the eyes and with the mask as opposed to the thin line in which you can only do so much with the expression.
I was kind of the opposite. I always liked the big white eyes, but I mean, yeah, it's a good look. As much as I griped on it at the beginning when we first started talking about him, he looks great.
Yeah, I'm excited. I can't. I hope he's in the movie more than just kind of like a cameo. Yeah. Like it looks like he's at the end of the big fight scene at the airport, and that might be it. I hope that's not the extent of his action. I don't know if he'll actually get into fisticuffs or fight anybody else, or if. But I
wonder how much they're going to show him in like marketing material.
I at least want to see him like take down some like burglars or something like that. You know. Yeah. Hopefully. I don't know how much they haven't shown him anything about him until this trailer, so I don't know how much he'll actually appear in marketing materials. My guess is
his own poster.
That's right, because they come out with those posters.
Yeah, he wasn't a part of it.
But he wasn't a part of it.
Those were terrible posters.
They were terrible posters. It was just a profile of the face. Yeah. Without any masks on anybody.
Yeah, that was interesting. I wonder why they chose that direction. Was it just to like humanize the whole thing? I would have preferred to see their masks. The Black Panther costume is still, I think,
it's amazing.
It's great. It's great. I really like it.
Yeah, I think they just came out. Sometimes I think they don't put a whole lot of thought into their marketing materials. They just put something out there, to keep the buzz going. Yeah, I kind of. I kind of wondered how much, like, because the day that
the trailer came out, the movie posters came out a few days before, and it's like now tickets are on sale. Why are tickets on sale so far in advance for the film? They're trying to bite into the Batman v Superman sales tickets, I think. But whatever.
That's just paranoia, man.
Those posters aren't helping them sell tickets. I mean, yeah, for sure.
They'll probably come out with more posters before the release.
Yeah.
But you know who had some pretty cool posters?
The Daredevil ones.
Those Daredevil posters were pretty sweet. We finally got a look at Frank Castle's Punisher skull on his shirt.
Finally.
And I think the skull looks fantastic. I think it's the best iteration of it.
We didn't get to see it fully, but I mean, from what we saw, it looks really good. It's big. It's like dark.
Yeah. In Warzone, it was kind of subtle, and it almost looked like it was printed onto like a mesh that he wore over his Kevlar.
And it was very angular. As opposed to like the Thomas Jane one looked very like organic.
Thomas Jane was very organic. It looked very spray painted, kind of graffiti style. This one has kind of that same style, but it's done. It's a good combination of the two. It's not angular, but it's spray painted over this very angular body armor piece.
Yeah, I thought it was body armor.
And it kind of incorporates part of the shape of the body armor. That's what kind of forms the eyes of the skull.
Yeah.
I think that's badass. I think this is the best looking version of the Punisher to date, especially
hands down.
The version of the poster version where he's holding that minigun with the big bandolier of bullets that's going through it.
Yeah,
that's straight out of the comics. I was so excited when I saw that. I cannot wait until the day that these characters show up in a Marvel film. Although, you know what I want? This is what I want. I just realized this the other day when I was driving on my way to work. The Defenders show. What story arc are they going to go with that?
I have no idea.
You know what I want them to do?
What?
Secret War. The Secret War where Nick Fury recruited them to overthrow Latveria.
The Italian artist did that comic.
Yeah, Gabriel
Dell'Otto.
Yeah.
I never read the comic, but I remember seeing the artwork for it. He's a phenomenal painter.
I think that's the way to incorporate them into the mainstream Marvel universe if they're not going to be in the Infinity War. I think if you do a smaller story with them where Nick Fury shows up and he recruits this small band of people that most people don't know of. They're kind of out of the public eye, kind of.
Who was it? Black Widow, Daredevil, Punisher.
Oh, in the comic?
Yeah.
In the comic, it was Wolverine, Spider-Man, Black Widow, Luke Cage, Quake.
Whoever the hell that is.
Daisy Johnson, who's in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's the main character.
Nice. Well, that's a nice way to tie in like all the different properties.
Yeah, I think that would be fast. I've never heard that mentioned anywhere, but I think about these things on my way to work.
Well, what are you gonna do after Infinity War? I mean, what else can you do? You could do.
But my tie into that is if they're not a part of Infinity War because the budget or whatever. I think that I bumped my mic earlier. By the way, I don't know if that'll show up in the recording, but if you heard noise, I bumped my mic. I think like if people will be like, well, how come these characters, the Netflix characters, aren't in the movie? And it's like, because they're on their own secret mission that no one's supposed to know about them. No one's supposed to know they exist. No one's not supposed to know about their mission. I think that's the way to do it.
You'd have to do it probably without Black Widow, though.
Right. Yeah, that's fine. I think that's fine.
Yeah. I'm kind of like sad.
If it doesn't happen now, I'm going to be disappointed because I feel like my idea was better. Anyway.
Well, I mean, how do you feel about the rift between the cinematic universe and the television universe? Like, are they even tied together anymore?
They are tied together, yes, because they make direct references to things that happen in the films.
But with the films, like, I don't know if the films would ever use any of those characters.
That's the question. That's the question. If they ever did, it would have to be in a big, wide, massive crossover event, which the Infinity War is, which the Infinity War movies will be.
Yeah.
So if they don't show up there, I don't know where they would show up unless they eventually got their own film.
If you really want to expand your universe, I mean, and make like the biggest impact you possibly can, with spoilers, when Thanos will probably. Should I say? I think we've
kill half the universe.
We've said that in a previous podcast.
Yeah, we have.
Kills half the universe. If you show someone like, Charlie Cox when he's sitting next to Elektra, or Daredevil, Charlie Cox's character is sitting next to Elektra, then all of a sudden he disappears. Yeah. I mean, that's a great way to pay some kind of tribute to people who watch the shows and
to have them show up in a film.
Yeah, only to disappear right away.
Yeah, but they'll come. I think even fans will appreciate that because there were a lot of characters that disappeared in the comic book story. Like I remember Hawkeye disappeared and Cersei I think was with him, although nobody knows. Very few people know who that is. And if you do, kudos.
I don't know who she is.
She's an Eternal.
I know who the DC Cersei is, but
yeah, that's right. She's a Wonder Woman bad guy.
Yeah. She'll be in the movie.
I remember Mary Jane died as part of the Infinity Gauntlet. There were a lot of people that disappeared. So it should be... If they go along that lines, I can see that working as well. So, is that it for the news?
I think that's everything. I mean, there's actually there's a lot more, but we can't cover everything in the podcast. I think that's all the big stuff. All the stuff I'm able to or want to speak on.
Okay. All right. Well, as we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, we're doing a Battlecast. We're pitting Black Widow against Black Canary. Should be exciting.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
All right.
It's time for a Battlecast. Marvel versus DC. Let's begin.
All right. So, Black Canary versus Black Widow. I'll go ahead and start talking about Black Widow. Natalia Romanova. She grew up in Russia and was recruited to the Russian KGB. I think it was the KGB. They were in charge of the Red Room there in the Black Widow program, where they kind of trained her as a spy. They recognized her talents as a professional ballerina.
Did she really go as far back as the KGB?
Yes, she does. Actually, she has biological and enhancements, so she's actually fairly old. She was actually recruited. She became a spy right after World War II.
Ah, whoa.
She's kind of like the female version of Captain America, but Russian and initially evil. She was a bad guy for Russia and or for Iron Man.
As all Russian characters were
back in the day.
Then.
Yeah, during the Cold War. She was a Russian bad guy who went by the name of Black Widow, and her outfit looked very different. She actually had the veil, the lace black veil and everything, and she was kind of like a manipulator. She was kind of like Madame Hydra kind of type thing, and she worked with Hawkeye and various other people. And
because Hawkeye was a villain.
Hawkeye started out as a villain for Iron Man, and they were kind of a couple.
For Iron Man?
Yeah, Hawkeye was an Iron Man bad guy.
Oh, that's right.
And so eventually, Hawkeye kind of appealed to her the better side of her nature, and they both kind of defected. Well, she defected. Hawkeye, he wasn't Russian or anything. He was American, but she defected from Russia, and they both switched sides. They joined the side of good, and Black Widow became a member of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Avengers. Although the last arc that I collected of Black Widow, it turns out that the Red Room used to manipulate their Black Widow spies with using pheromones, and Nick Fury got wind of that, and that's how he actually recruited her into S.H.I.E.L.D. by manipulating her using those pheromones.
That's
so
messed
she was
up.
Pissed off.
It's messed up.
That's pretty. Nick Fury is anything but the master manipulator. So she joined S.H.I.E.L.D. She joined the Avengers. At one point, she even led the Avengers. She's been involved romantically with a number of heroes, including Daredevil, Hawkeye, even Captain America. Her abilities are pretty cool. She has in addition to being one of the finest martial artists in the world, she has this stealthy black suit that can actually stick to walls, like her namesake. Her wrist gauntlets, they can shoot out a whole myriad of things, like grappling hooks, so that she can climb up buildings and swing. They can shoot out knockout gas and poison gas. Like so it's like just like you got poisoned by like a Black Widow spider type thing. So it kind of goes with the theme. She can shoot out bullets of various calibers, and she can shoot out her trademark is an electrical blast called the Widow's Bite,
which they kind of allude to in the movie with her. Like
they do in the comics. It's more of like a mini laser, like a mini electrical laser that stuns you. It's like 30,000 volts that she can stun you with. But in the movie, they probably figured that shooting lasers was more of an Iron Man thing, so they turned it into more of like taser fists type thing. But she also has those like she can shoot from her wrist and throw those taser discs. So she still has all the abilities that she has in the comics. It just doesn't manifest itself in the movies as a laser beam. Same effect though. So yeah, that's pretty much Black Widow.
I do have to make an interjection real quick.
Sure.
Do you like Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow?
She would. Okay, here's the thing. She doesn't seem Russian to me. I always imagine Black Widow as being more Russian, with a Russian accent. I was kind of disappointed by her cast, but I understood that she was a big name at the time, so I understood why they cast her. I think she draws an audience. I think she's pretty damn hot. But if I had to cast anybody in the role, it would have been somebody like Mila Jovovich, from like Resident Evil or something.
Yeah. She's Russian. Right? Or Eastern.
I have no idea, actually. She has a name that sounds vaguely Eastern European. But whenever I thought of Black Widow, I kind of always thought she would be the perfect choice for that.
I never thought of that. That's actually a really good choice. Yeah, I never liked Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow. It always kind of bothers me every time.
She has a certain acting style that's hard to not notice when you see her in movies.
It's like, it's Scarlett Johansson. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not the Black Widow.
She has some strange line delivery sometime. The most recent example I can think of is when she was hitting on Bruce Banner in Age of Ultron at the Avengers party. I thought it was a little awkward. That being said, I've seen her in other stuff that I've been...
She has a very deep voice.
She has a deep voice, which is fine, but I think she does a good job with the action. I think.
Yeah.
Especially in her first appearance in Iron Man 2. I think that was one of her best action beats.
And also her worst hair.
Really? I didn't mind that hair. Although I have to say, I prefer my Black Widow with longer hair, so maybe that's why I like it more than the shorter hair that she has in the Avengers. I think the hair that she had in that she's going to have in the new Winter Soldier hair was fine. I guess it was a little flat on her head. I don't know why we're talking about hair, but
she has a new hairstyle for every movie.
She does. I think her hairstyle that's going to be in the new Captain America movie, Civil War. I think that's going to be the best. It's more of an auburn type of red, as opposed to like a bright artificial type red. I think, which is always kind of what I imagine Black Widow with, is more of like an auburn red as opposed to like an orange fiery red.
Really?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I always imagine like Phoenix is more like fiery red. Black Widow is more like auburn red.
Yeah.
Wow, we had a pretty long conversation about that. So yeah, I think that's it for Black Widow. What about Black Canary?
So Black Canary came out before Black Widow. You could almost consider Black Widow to be a ripoff of Black Canary, like so many Marvel characters.
No, because Black Widow started out as a very different character.
Well, that's true. But she evolved into something more like what Black Canary is. They're very similar characters. Black Canary was a Golden Age superhero. She started off as she's just a really good fighter, essentially. Her name was Dinah Drake. She had a daughter.
I thought her name was Dinah Lance. Am I out of it?
Okay, so her daughter is Dinah Laurel Lance. So Dinah Drake married... what was his name? I forget.
Somebody Lance.
And they had a daughter.
Lance Bass.
And essentially, like the Black Canary that most people know of, if you know of Black Canary, you know of Dinah Laurel Lance, the daughter of the original Black Canary.
Oh, okay. Wait, they have the same first name?
They do. She's like a mini Dinah. Dinah
like
Mini.
Dinah Junior.
Instead of Junior, the female version is Mini. Same name.
Really?
She has the same name as her mother.
Okay.
So she basically grew up crime fighting.
I think all superheroes should have kids that have the exact same name. They can just inherit their mantle as they get older.
Yeah. But she's
essentially
essentially
real
the same,
quick.
Yeah.
Before you continue, Black Widow kind of has a weird name thing too, because her name is Natalia Romanova, but she always goes by Natasha Romanoff, which I guess is the American version or the Western version of. I don't know why. I never really quite got the story behind why she goes by Natasha instead of like Natalie or something like that, or Romanoff instead of Romanova. But anyway, that's just another weird kind of similarity. The whole kind of weird name backstory type thing. Continue.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, her mother, the original Dinah Drake, did not have any superpowers. She was just again a good fighter. Her daughter is actually a metahuman. She has a metagene. She has something that's called the Canary cry. Essentially, it's she could just emit these sonic waves that they're really powerful. They could shatter steel. Essentially,
she's like Banshee from the X-Men.
Yeah, except that, like she has like much more control over her voice. She could essentially like mimic any sound or any voice.
Huh.
Yeah. So she was trained by the world's greatest fighters, Lady Shiva, Wildcat, even Batman. She's one of the top fighters in the DC universe. So that combined with gadgets, she's always like a member of some team, like whether it's Team 7 or Birds of Prey or JSA, JLA. I think for a while she was considered one of the founding members of the JLA. Huh. So she goes into battle not only with her Canary cry with her fighting skill, but with an array of gadgets most of the time.
What kind of gadgets?
For a while she lost her sonic scream or her Canary cry. So she had like these like sonic grenades.
She doesn't still have those, does she?
No, she doesn't need them. I've seen her use grappling hooks and various martial arts weapons.
Black Widow has those too. I think I didn't really go over her arsenal.
Oh yeah, Black Widow has a huge arsenal.
Huge arsenal. Knives, rifles, handguns, automatic weapons.
Black Canary doesn't really use guns too much. I've seen her like hold a gun once, but I can't think of a single storyline where she used one. She's very much in like the DC universe where like you can't in the Marvel universe. There's a whole set of heroes who kill like Punisher, Black Widow. Yeah. That's not as prevalent in the DC universe, I think.
Can Black Canary stop a bullet with her Canary cry?
She can stop a semi-truck speeding at her.
Anybody could do that. Can she stop a bullet? It's smaller and faster.
You think it has more inertia?
I don't care about inertia. I care about how hard of a target it is to hit.
That's what the stopping power is. Yeah, I mean, if you're firing a bunch of bullets at her, I don't know.
A bullet might have more inertia. Depends on how fast the semi-truck was going.
It's more focused. A bullet probably does have more inertia.
Have you ever seen her stop a bullet or anything?
She doesn't need to. She dodges bullets. Oh. She's Black Widow is this, ballet acrobat. Same with Black Canary. Expert acrobatics. She's sort of become like part of the Bat family, like along with Huntress and Robin and Nightwing and Batwoman.
Oh yeah, they're crazy about their backflips.
Oh yeah, totally.
Going back to the ballerina thing, it's unclear whether Black Widow was a ballerina, or if those are just implanted memories. The version, the way I like to think of the story is that she was a prominent ballerina who was recruited to the Red Room because of those skills that she had, those physical skills.
Cool.
Anyway.
No, so I mean, yeah. Not only has Black Widow was trained in Russia, Black Canary was trained all over the world by everyone, by all the masters. Richard Dragon, again Shiva, again Wildcat, again Batman. Okay.
Yeah, but in Mother Russia, you train world train. I don't know.
Yeah, let's try. So what else to say about her?
Mother Russia, fight trains you.
Fight trains you.
Is there anything else?
She has a romantic relationship with Green Arrow, which any fans of the Arrow TV show, Black Canary already. She's Laurel. They go by her middle name for some reason in the show. I think it was some kind of, I don't know.
That's weird.
In the pilot, they called her Laurel, so you didn't realize at the very end until when someone said Dinah Laurel Lance. You're like, oh, it's the Black Canary. At least that's what I did.
I've seen parts of that show where she does her canary cry and it looks cheesy as hell. I think it's because she makes this weird face. She scrunches up her nose and just kind of opens her mouth. It doesn't even look like she's yelling or anything. She just kind of opens her mouth.
She's not a metahuman in the TV show.
No?
And it's kind of interesting because, again, just like in the comics, she adopted the Black Canary sort of moniker, persona, not from her mother, but from her sister, who, again, she wasn't a metahuman. All she was a good fighter.
Is that who the White Canary is?
Yeah, she's become the white... in the TV show...
Because I saw White Canary in Legends of Tomorrow, and I was like, who the hell's that?
Yeah, she was the Black Canary. Then she died. Spoiler! No! Sorry. Anyway, that's pretty much Black Canary.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, just in terms of physical abilities, they have different backstories, but in terms of physicality, they're pretty much equals.
I would say...
So, how would you say this fight goes, this sexy fight? How would you say it goes blow by blow?
In the mud, wrestling, in bikinis.
That's sexist, man.
You ask.
How would you think it really goes?
Here's the thing. They're pretty much expert martial artists. They're both experts in various forms of martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
They both, where Natasha probably has more of an edge, lethality wise.
Yeah, she's much more. She's lethal. Yeah, she's very.
She has much more lethal weaponry, which actually, honestly, is a big edge. That can't hold a candle to the Canary Cry, because you can't.
Well, and I'm sure Black Canary is used to people who have a lethal edge or lethal instinct.
Absolutely, yeah. She goes up against people who try to kill her all the time. That's her thing. Oh,
that's everybody's thing.
One thing I did forget to mention. In the New 52, her name, Black Canary, isn't Dinah Laurel Lance. They sort of merged the character of Dinah Laurel Lance and Dinah Drake into one character. Her name is Dinah Drake in the comics again. After when Birds of Prey essentially sort of disbanded,
mm-hmm.
This character is always sort of adopting proteges and kids. If you watch the TV show, the character of Sin is sort of one of the people that she helps out, just young people just trying to make it through the world. Right now, she's helping out some younger people in a band, and so she's their lead singer. And so the song we played at the beginning was actually a way to promote the first graphic novel where she joins the band and goes on tour and fights crime.
She fights crime on tour.
Yes.
That's pretty hilarious.
Yeah. Bad things just kind of follow her.
It makes me wonder why Marvel never released an album or an EP or anything for Dazzler. That's the only other superhero singer I could think of.
Yeah. The indie music scene probably wasn't as it's easier to
release music
nowadays. Yeah.
Anyway, I think blow by blow, I don't know if the Canary Cry can stop bullets, in which case, they both have their work cut out for them, I think, in this fight, because they're essentially equals. It may turn into a ranged battle, and who knows who will win. Honestly, I have no idea. Black Widow has her Widow Sting. She could electrocute Black Canary, but Black Canary, her Canary Cry is pretty damn powerful. And from my understanding, even if she doesn't hit you directly with it, it still can really split your ears. So, while I don't know what will happen, I almost am 100% convinced that Black Widow will win.
No, it was even if the Canary Cry can't stop bullets, it's a sonic force. It's gonna vibrate the bullet and send it off its trajectory.
Ricochet, make it
or
something. Not ricochet, but Interesting.
It's a powerful thing. And I think just because of her metagene, again, that gives her the advantage.
I think Black Widow will win because electricity travels faster than sound. I think if it comes down to it, if they're firing at the same time, I think Black Widow has the edge.
But that's not gonna kill Black Canary.
Oh, it'll stun the crap out of her though, and then Black Widow will walk up and start slapping the shit out of her. Boom! That's how the fight goes.
You remember the Wizard comic, Wizard magazine?
Magazine, yeah.
Not comic. One of the first issues, we used to collect that comic, and one of the first issues
magazine
of they had this sort of like what we do now. They had a segment or a section of the magazine called Last Man Standing.
Mm-hmm.
Black Canary fought Black Widow in one of those
right
instances. Do you remember who won?
I don't remember.
It was Black Canary.
Why?
What happened? Black Widow fired like a grapple kind of bola like snare at Black Canary, but Black Canary ended up just like dodging it and using that grapple to quickly tie up Black Widow. And snaring her in her own net web.
How the hell would she be fast enough to tie up Black Widow without Black Widow punching her in the face?
She did it.
That's stupid. But those Last Man Standing things were dumb. I remember they had Batman beating Spider-Man with a punch. Like, Batman punched Spider-Man in the gut. I remember. He threw a smoke pellet and then was too fast for his Spidey sense and punched him in the gut. And then,
makes sense.
Those wizard fights were stupid. Anyway, let's take it to the computer, shall
we? Let's run the figures.
All right. Actually, before I do that, let me explain it. For those who haven't heard the Battlecast, it's kind of like we took the concept from Deadliest Warrior on Spike TV, where they would put.
If anyone remembers that show, it's not on anymore. It's not
on anymore, but they would pit warriors from history against each other, like a Spartan versus a ninja. Basically, they would take their stats and put them into an algorithm, and then run the Monte Carlo method, which it basically generates 1,000 simulations of battle, which is what we're gonna do. Basically, we take the figures from the Marvel official power ranking grades. From there, we extrapolate the DC numbers through comparison.
And we have a few more stats that we've added that we think are important to the battle.
Yeah, so we come up with those numbers, we set up a standard deviation, and do the Monte Carlo method, simulate 1,000 matches. So let's go ahead and do that now, and find out exactly who comes out on top here.
The fuck, was there a duck in the simulation runner?
I don't know how the machine works, man. Sometimes ducks are in there. So the results are in, and looking at the Risk Solver add-on,
it's gonna be really close. I know that.
It is very close. It's within a deviation of 5 from 50%. It's 52.3, which makes this the closest battle that we've had yet.
How is there ever going to be a closer battle than that after 1,000 simulations?
Well, here's the thing. When I was putting in the numbers, I ran an average of all the stats, and they came out to the same number, actually.
I'm not surprised.
So, I mean, the random numbers are generated between a standard deviation of that stat number. But if you just average the base, what we put in, the average came out the same. So, essentially, they're as equally powerful. So, if we were to run the simulation again, I bet you it's possible that Black Widow would come out on top. It was possible that Black Canary would come out on top. But...
You motherfucker. You got me so excited. So Black Widow came out on top.
Black Widow did win.
By 52%?
She won 52.3% of the 1,000 simulations. So we're taking that as the truth.
What the heck?
As gospel. That is what happened, and that's what we're sticking to. So that was really close. In your face.
Whatever. That is not in your face.
I'm not running the simulations again.
That was.
It's pretty much a coin toss.
So close. It is a coin toss. So, wow. Wow. Will we ever have a match that close again?
Probably. But
it would have to be like I don't know. Hyperion and Superman. Or something. I don't know.
Just people that are clones of each other.
Yeah, clones.
Yeah.
I mean, like they're sort of clones. I thought the metagene her Canary card would have put her out on top. But it's probably the lethality of Black Widow.
It's not the lethality. It's the let me look at the stats again. What did she rank higher in? See, so yeah, Black Canary is certainly ranked higher in projectile damage, but Black Widow's edge was in. She was slightly smarter and had a greater accuracy at long range.
Accurate, huh?
Oh, that's it. Well, when I say accuracy, I mean marksmanship, because of the guns, basically.
Because Black Canary doesn't use guns.
Both at long range and at close range. It's one thing to face a target and then, like, throw out a big wide range. Likely you're going to hit your target, but there is a benefit to being able to hit a small target from a long distance. It does make a difference in a fight. So
I guess it makes 0.2 difference or 2.3%
difference over 1,000.
No, it's probably her strategic intelligence. Black Canary is never really. I guess I'm not. Well,
she always uses Oracle, and Black Widow is kind of her own Oracle. She's like a master hacker, and she's super smart. She led the Avengers. She's good at tactics, things like that. Black Canary, while she's had a leadership role before, I don't think it's quite to the same extent.
No.
So there you have it.
That was a good match. Holy cow.
That was pretty good. So if you're keeping tabs at home, Marvel is up 2-1.
That's like a split down the middle win.
So it's like 1.5 versus 1.5. Technically, this one goes in the Marvel books, and we'll see what happens the next time.
Yeah.
In the next Battlecast. So next
week.
Next podcast
in 2 weeks, we are going to be reviewing Batman v Superman.
Are you nervous?
No, I'm so excited. I just 2
I'm
weeks cannot come
I'm nervous
soon
for
enough.
you.
It's man.
All right.
I can't believe it's only 2 weeks away. It's
coming up soon.
It's gonna be a really long 2 weeks.
Kick off to the DC extended universe. It'll be exciting.
Yeah, totally.
Well, join us for that. Definitely tune in on the next podcast, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, totally.
All right. Without further ado,
up and away.
true believers.